It was one of those nights where the city seemed to have wrapped itself in a blanket of neon haze. In quiet desperation, rain-slick streets reflected the jaundiced glow of street lamps, while the distant hum of late-night traffic formed a constant, almost hypnotic background. Adam Kane, ex-military, now a freelance security consultant, walked with his hands deep in the pockets of his jacket, his boots splashing lightly through puddles. He wasn't supposed to be here. His original route home was well lit, lined, with diners still open at midnight. But something, an itch in the back of his skull, had pulled him down this empty stretch of old Market District. It was a sound that stopped him, a sound so small, so fragile, it barely rose above the soft hiss of rain. Please. He turned his head sharply, scanning the shadows between a closed pawn shop and a shuttered bakery. There, barely illuminated by the flickering light above, was a little girl. She couldn't have been more than 10, her dark hair plastered to her face by the rain, her clothes too thin for the cold, her eyes wide, luminous, and oddly reflective, locked onto his with desperate urgency. Please, mighty human. My sister was taken. Let's rescue her together, she said in a trembling voice. Adam froze. Mighty human? It was such a strange way to put it, almost theatrical, yet the terror in her tone was all too real. He took a cautious step forward, scanning for movement. Where's your mom or dad? Who took your sister? The girl shook her head violently. No time. They'll leave soon. We have to go now before the door closes. Her words triggered a faint alarm bell in his mind. He had heard strange things during his deployments, rumors of disappearances in rural towns, cases that military police quietly closed without explanation. But this was happening right in front of him. Adam's eyes swept the alley behind her. The shadows seemed unnaturally deep, shape-shifted when he wasn't looking directly at them. His instincts, honed from years in hostile zones, screamed at him that something wasn't right. Yet, there was something about the girl's voice, a kind of resonance that bypassed his caution and hooked straight into his gut. He knelt to meet her gaze. All right, kid, tell me where. Her lips trembled. In the warehouse at the end of the street. But you can't go without me. They can't see me, but they'll see you. Adam's mind ticked over possibilities. Human traffickers? A gang hideout? Or was this something else entirely? Her choice of words, they can't see me, was either childish fantasy or another sound interrupted his thoughts. A low, almost musical hum, like metal vibrating underwater, coming from further down the street. The girl's eyes widened. It's starting. Please hurry. For a brief moment, Adam hesitated. Going toward that sound felt like stepping off the edge of the known world. But leaving this girl alone was unthinkable. And if someone really had taken her sister? He rose to his full height, adjusting the strap of the small tactical pack slung over his shoulder. All right, we do this together. The relief on her face was instantaneous, strange. Not just a child's gratitude, but something older, deeper. Like she'd been waiting for him specifically, she reached out her small, cold hand. When he took it, a faint electric pulse traveled up his arm, almost like static shock, but warmer. A live dot. As they moved toward the end of the street, Adam caught glimpses of movement on rooftops. Shapes not quite human, their outlines bending and blurring against the rain. The hum ahead grew louder, and with it, a feeling like the air itself was thinning. The girl whispered without looking at him. When we get inside, don't believe what you see. Adam's grip on her hand tightened. He didn't know what was waiting in that warehouse, but whatever it was, he could feel the night shifting around them, reality thinning like paper about to tear, and for the first time in years, he felt the sharp, clean thrill of stepping into the unknown. The hum became a steady vibration in his bones. A faint blue light pulsed through the cracks of the warehouse's old metal door. Adam exhaled once, slow and controlled, and looked down at the girl. Stay close, she nodded, but her reflective eyes caught the light in a way that made his stomach twist. For a split second, it was like looking into the eyes of something not entirely human. The door creaked open, and Adam stepped into a world he didn't yet understand. The moment Adam stepped through the warehouse door, the hum intensified, swallowing the faint noises of the city outside. It wasn't just a sound anymore, it was a pressure, settling deep in his chest and making his pulse throb in strange synchrony with it. The air inside was warmer, tinged with the metallic tang of ozone. The warehouse itself was massive, its high ceiling disappearing into shadow. Rows of abandoned crates and rusty machinery stood like silent sentinels, their outlines softened by the faint blue glow emanating from somewhere deeper within. The glow pulsed, Like the heartbeat of the building itself, the little girl didn't hesitate. She tugged him forward, weaving through narrow gaps between crates with the agility of someone who knew every step of this place. Adam's eyes kept sweeping corners, rafters, shadows cataloging possible threats, and that's when he saw it. Something moved high above them, a figure, no, a shape, crouched along the steel support beams. Its limbs were too long, its movements too fluid, bending in ways human joints shouldn't. He stopped dead in his tracks, one hand instinctively going to the concealed pistol under his jacket. The girl noticed and turned back sharply. Don't, they can't see you yet. Adam kept his voice low, clipped. Who's they? She glanced up at the thing on the beam. Hunters. The word dropped like a stone into his gut. He knew that tone. It wasn't a child playing pretend. She said it like a soldier naming an enemy. The thing above them tilted its head in an inhumanly slow arc, like it was listening to something distant. Its skin, if it was skin, was a mottled mix of shadow and light, changing subtly with every blink of the warehouse lights. Then, in a blur, it moved to another beam without making a sound. Keep going, the girl urged, tugging again. Adam followed, though his instincts screamed that he was walking into the jaws of something far beyond his comprehension. As they drew closer to the source of the glow, he noticed the space changing. The warehouse floor gave way to something else. The concrete was cracked, but not from age or neglect, more like it had been peeled back, revealing a surface beneath that shimmered faintly, like liquid metal frozen mid-ripple. The hum here was almost unbearable, resonating through his teeth and making the hair on his arms stand up. Ahead, in the center of the warped floor, was a circular structure, smooth, seamless, and glowing from within. It was about 3 meters across, hovering just inches above the ground. The glow wasn't steady, it pulsed in a rhythm that matched the one pounding in his chest. This is the door, the girl whispered. They took her through here. Adam's breath hitched. The door was not a door in any human sense. It was a living halo of light and shadow, shifting in ways that made his eyes ache to follow. The air around it bent, distorting like heat over asphalt. Before he could speak, movement caught his attention again. The thing from the beams had dropped down silently, now crouching on all fours near the edge of the light. Its head swiveled toward Adam, and for the first time, he saw its face, or something that resembled a face, to eyes, set too far apart, glowed faintly like coals in ash. Its mouth was a thin horizontal slit, stretching wider than any human's. The girl didn't flinch. It's not looking at you, she murmured. It's looking through you. Adam's fingers twitched toward his gun again, but before he could act, the slit-mouthed creature emitted a low, clicking sound, and 2 more shapes emerged from the shadows, taller, broader, their forms shimmering like heat mirages. The girl's grip on his hand tightened painfully. We don't have time for this. We go through the door now. Adam's gaze flicked between the creatures and the impossible structure before him. Every instinct told him stepping through was suicide, but behind those glowing eyes of the girl, he saw something else. Not just fear, determination, and something ancient. All right, he said, voice low and even. On 3, she shook her head. No, now. And before he could protest, she pulled him forward. The hum reached a crescendo as his foot crossed the threshold of the glowing ring. The creatures lunged to late. Reality folded. The warehouse dissolved, and Adam felt the world twist inside, out. When the light cleared, they were somewhere else entirely. Adam's breath caught in his throat as the light faded. The oppressive hum was gone, replaced by a deep, alien silence. It wasn't empty, far from it. He could hear faint rustles, a whispering wind, the distant, hollow sound of something huge, moving far away, but it was different from any silence he'd ever known. It felt aware. They stood on a surface that looked like glass, yet gave under his boots as though it were alive. Beneath them, endless depths glowed with shifting colors, ocean blues, molten golds, shards of emerald green swirling like liquid light. The horizon curved subtly upward, as if the world wrapped around itself. Adam turned to get his bearings, but his gut dropped. The door was gone. No warehouse, no familiar geometry of earth. Instead, behind them stretched an archway of black stone, etched with moving symbols that seemed to breathe in and out of existence. The girl didn't seem afraid. She took a deep breath, as though the air here was somehow cleaner. We're safe from the hunters for now, she said, though her eyes kept flicking to the horizon. Adam's voice was low, steady. What is this place? She hesitated, then met his gaze. It's where my people hide, where they took my sister. Before he could ask more, The ground beneath them pulsed. Something was coming. From the haze ahead, shapes began to emerge tall, impossibly tall, with bodies like a fusion of armor and bone. Their features obscured by helmets that seemed grown rather than forged. Their movements were deliberate, slow, as if they were assessing whether Adam was threat or prey. Instinctively, Adam shifted his stance, weight balanced, scanning for cover though there was none. The figure stopped several paces away, their heads tilting in unison. Then, one of them spoke, its voice a layered echo in a language Adam didn't recognize. The sound vibrated in his chest more than in his ears. The girl responded fluently. Her tone clipped and formal. Adam caught fragments of body language, tension, warning, a kind of reverence, but couldn't piece together the meaning until the tallest figure reached out, placing a massive hand on the girl's shoulder. The gesture was gentle, almost protective. Then it pointed at him. The girl translated, her voice quieter now. They say you're marked, that the hunters can smell it. Adam's brow furrowed. Marked? What does that mean? Her expression darkened. It means you can't go back. Not yet. The weight of that sank in slowly. He thought of his apartment, his quiet street, the life he'd built away from the battlefield. And just like that, it was gone. This place, whatever it was, had its own rules, and he was already entangled in them. One of the armored beings gestured for them to follow. Reluctantly, Adam fell in step beside the girl. As they moved, the landscape shifted around them, structures rising from the ground like growing coral, luminous plants bending toward their path, the air shimmering with distant movement. For the first time, Adam realized that the girl's earlier plea wasn't just about her sister. This was bigger, much bigger, and whatever had taken her was powerful enough to move between worlds. The path took them deeper into the alien realm. Adam noticed the terrain shifted subtly every few steps, structures bending and flowing like living sculpture, light filtering from no clear source, colors bleeding into each other as if the air itself were a canvas. His boots made no sound on the strange surface. The three armored beings led them toward an immense formation in the distance, a towering citadel that looked both natural and built, its spires spiraling like petrified lightning. At its base, massive gates pulsed faintly with veins of light, as though the whole structure had a heartbeat. The girl walked a half step ahead, speaking occasionally in the alien tongue. Adam didn't need to understand the words to know she was negotiating, sometimes pleading, sometimes firm. He filed away every gesture, every micro-expression. The way he had in war zones, when reading people could mean the difference between life and death. When they reached the gates, a new sound filled the air, a low, resonant chime that vibrated through Adam's bones. The gates slowly unfolded, layers of living metal peeling back to reveal the interior. The moment the threshold was open, the scent hit him, cold, metallic, but laced with something sharp and sweet, like ozone after a storm. Inside, the scale was staggering. The walls curved high above them, covered in organic patterns that shifted slowly, like breathing. Pools of liquid light reflected alien constellations that didn't match any sky Adam had ever seen. Beings moved within the space, all like their escorts, but with varying armor patterns and weapons that seemed part of their bodies. Adam caught one detail that set his instincts screaming. Every being they passed looked at him, some with curiosity, some with suspicion, a few with open hostility. The girl noticed too. She whispered without looking at him, "They know the hunters marked you. It means they'll follow you anywhere." His jaw tightened. "So I'm a liability." "You're also a weapon," she replied, voice cold, "and they need one." Their guides brought them to a chamber at the heart of the citadel. It wasn't just a room, it was a hollowed-out sphere, walls lined with pulsating crystal. At its center floated a shard of black stone, cracked and bleeding thin streams of light into the air. The girl's eyes widened at the sight. "That's a fracture key," she breathed. "If they have one here, it means—" She trailed off, gaze shifting sharply toward the floor. Adam followed her line of sight and saw them, cells, dozens of them, carved into the living walls, each containing figures suspended in shimmering stasis fields. Some were alien, others human, and one of them a small form. Pale hair floating around her head made the girl's knees buckle. "Lena," she whispered. Adam's gut turned cold. So this was it. They had found her sister. But between them and that cell stood more of the armored giants, only these were armed with weapons that glowed faintly with the same energy as the fracture key. The largest one stepped forward, its voice a deep echo. The girl listened, then translated, "They say they'll release her if you fight for them." Adam glanced at the cell. then back at the towering warriors. His mind flickered through possibilities, outcomes, tactics. None of them ended clean. Fight who? He asked. The girl's answer was almost a whisper. The ones who took me. The ones who mark humans. The hunters. Adam's shoulders squared. He'd been dragged into someone else's war before. It never ended well. But as his eyes locked on the frightened girl in the cell, he knew this wasn't just someone else's war anymore. The chamber's air changed. Adam felt it first not as sound, but as a subtle pressure against his skull. The girl stiffened beside him, her gaze darting to the far edge of the room, where the shadows deepened unnaturally. One of the armored warriors stepped forward, organic weapon rising, its tip glowing faintly. The black crystal in the center of the chamber pulsed once hard enough to ripple the floor. Beneath their feet, from the darkness, something stepped out. No flowed out. Its body was lean, predatory, wrapped in segmented plates that shimmered like oil on water. It walked on two legs, but moved like it didn't belong to gravity. Its face, or the thing it used as one, was smooth, reflective, a shifting surface that mirrored the chamber's glow. No eyes, no mouth, just a surface that seemed to drink in light. Adam's instinct screamed at him to move, but his feet stayed rooted. He'd faced soldiers, insurgents, the kind of killers that smiled before pulling the trigger, but this thing was different. This was a specialist. The alien warrior spoke in quick bursts, formation tightening. The girl grabbed Adam's sleeve. "It's here for you." The creature stopped several paces away. The air between them thickened, vibrating with some inaudible frequency. Adam's ears rang. His vision wavered. He thought he saw flashes, images that weren't his own. Burning cities, skies full of ships shaped like knives. The girl's face, older, scarred, standing in a place of endless dark. And then it was gone. The creature tilted its head, as if testing how he reacted to the visions. Then it spoke, not in sound, but directly in his mind. "You don't belong here, soldier, but you will." Adam staggered back, breaking eye contact. The armored warriors moved, weapons flaring to life, but the creature only stepped backward, into the dark it had emerged from. The pressure in Adam's head lifted, the shadows thinned. The girl's grip on his sleeve was shaking now. "That wasn't the hunter," she whispered. "That was its scout." Adam swallowed, forcing his breathing steady. "Then we better move before the real one shows up." The warriors exchanged a final glance, then gestured sharply toward a side corridor lined with the same living architecture. Adam followed, the girl keeping pace beside him, but every step felt heavier, because he knew the truth now. Whatever had marked him wasn't done. It had just begun. The side corridor stretched into darkness, the faint blue veins in the alien walls pulsing in irregular intervals, like a heartbeat out of rhythm. Adam's boots made almost no sound on the smooth, organic floor, but every step sent tiny vibrations through his bones. The little girl walked beside him, her eyes scanning the walls as if reading something he couldn't see. The alien warriors moved ahead, their armor whispering as they shifted. One of them glanced back, not at Adam, but at the girl, and made a quick hand gesture to another. Whatever their plan was, Adam didn't like not knowing it. A low hum began to resonate in the air, growing louder with every step. Adam realized it wasn't coming from the walls. It was coming from inside his head. He clenched his jaw, trying to block it out, but images began to flash again, this time faster, more fragmented. He saw Earth's cities, but they were wrong. Towering spires of alien architecture woven into the skylines. People walking in crowds, but with blank, mirrored faces. The girl stumbled. Adam caught her before she hit the ground. Her small hand clutched his sleeve like a lifeline. "They're listening," she whispered. "Who?" Adam asked. She pointed upward. He followed her gaze, but the ceiling was just a stretch of dark, ridged bone-like material. Then something moved, fluid, silent, clinging to the overhead like it was part of it. Multiple limbs, each ending in delicate hooked claws, and a head that seemed to split open into a halo of shifting plates. The warriors didn't react. They kept walking. Adam realized with a chill that they couldn't see it. He stopped. His instinct screamed that whatever was above them was tracking them. Slowly, without taking his eyes off the shifting thing overhead, he reached for the combat knife strapped to his thigh. The girl shook her head. "If you fight it, it calls the others." Adam froze, blade halfway out. The thing's limbs flexed slightly, the movement hypnotic in the dim light. Then, just as silently as it had appeared, it melted back into the shadows overhead. The hum in Adam's skull stopped. The girl exhaled shakily, We're in their nest now. Adam didn't reply. His hand stayed close to the knife the rest of the way down the corridor. The corridor opened into a vast, domed chamber. The ceiling soared so high that it vanished into mist, but faint movements above hinted at more of those ceiling crawlers drifting along unseen tracks. The floor was a mosaic, if it could be called, that made from pieces of translucent material. Inside each shard, frozen like insects in amber, were faces, human, alien, some screaming, some expressionless, all faintly glowing from within. Adam's boots made a dull crunching sound as he stepped across them, and for a moment he swore the expression shifted. The alien warriors fanned out, their weapons lowered but ready. The girl didn't move. Her gaze was fixed on the center of the chamber, where a strange structure rose from the ground like a massive spine curled into a spiral. Between its ribs floated hundreds of glowing orbs, each pulsing gently. Adam stepped closer, and the whispering began. It was soft at first, like a breeze in tall grass. Then it grew sharper, more insistent. The voices overlapped, some pleading, some warning, some simply muttering in languages he didn't recognize. But one voice cut through them all. "Soldier, come closer." Adam's jaw tightened. "You've got the wrong guy. No, we've been waiting for you." The orb shifted, rotating slowly until one hovered directly in front of him. Inside its surface, an image formed, his own face, but aged, scarred, eyes cold. This version of him stood in the ruins of a city Adam didn't recognize, holding a weapon that looked grown rather than built. The girl's hand tugged his arm urgently. "Don't touch it." He tore his gaze away. "What happens if I do?" "They take you," she whispered. "Not your body, you." A sound echoed from the corridor they'd come through, low, reverberating, like a massive breath being drawn in. The alien warriors snapped into formation, their weapons lighting up with pale green fire. The girl's eyes widened. The hunters. Here, Adam drew his sidearm. Whatever this hunter was, he doubted bullets would do much, but it felt better to be holding something. The whispers in the chamber rose into a chaotic chorus, the glowing orbs shuddering in their spirals. Something was coming through the mist. The mist at the far end of the chamber thickened, swirling in unnatural patterns. It wasn't moving with the air, it was moving against it, curling toward the center like something alive. Adam's grip on his pistol tightened. The alien warriors shifted stance, forming a semicircle with their weapons raised, green energy humming along the edges. The girl pressed close to his side, her eyes fixed on the mist, as though she was trying not to blink. Then the sound came low, resonant, and almost beautiful, if not for the bone-deep dread it carried. It was like a whale's call mixed with the metallic screech of tearing steel. The floor vibrated under Adam's boots. The mist parted. The hunter stepped forward. It was huge, easily 3 meters tall, its body a blend of chitinous plating and flowing muscle that seemed to move in slow, deliberate waves. Its legs bent backward like a predator's, taloned feet clicking against the mosaic floor. The head was elongated, segmented, and split into multiple armored plates that shifted with each movement, revealing glimpses of a glowing, liquid-like core beneath. But its eyes, or what Adam thought were eyes, were not fixed on the warriors. They were locked directly on him. The alien warriors didn't wait. 2 of them fired, their weapons spitting arcs of green plasma. The bolts hit the hunter, hissing against its armor, leaving sizzling scorch marks, but it didn't flinch. Instead, it moved with terrifying speed, crossing half the chamber in a blur, claws tearing through one warrior's armor as if it were paper. Adam yanked the girl behind one of the spine-like ribs, his heart pounding. He popped up, fired the rounds at the glowing core beneath the hunter's shifting head plates. Both shots hit sparks, and a strange, shimmering liquid burst out. The hunter stopped, slowly. It tilted its head toward him, almost curious. Then, it spoke not aloud, but directly into his mind. "You will come with me." Adam's teeth clenched. Not happening. The hunter's head plates opened wider, and the chamber's orbs began pulsing faster. Whispering louder, the girl grabbed his wrist. "We have to run, now." But the hunter was already moving. The moment the girl pulled at Adam's arm, he knew staying here meant dying or worse. The hunter lunged, claws digging trenches into the mosaic floor. Adam shoved the girl ahead, firing twice more at its glowing core. The round sparked, but the creature barely slowed. Its voice was in his skull again, louder now, almost cracking through his thoughts. "You were already mine." "No," Adam growled, teeth clenched, and sprinted toward the far archway. The alien warrior, still alive, shifted position, trying to block the hunter's advance. their armor humming as they overloaded their weapons. The air stank of ozone and something bitter burned alien flesh. An explosion of green light filled the chamber as one warrior threw himself directly into the hunter, detonating his own armor's power core. The blast hurled Adam and the girl to the ground. His ears rang, but he didn't waste time. He hauled her up and kept running. The next corridor was narrower, its walls lined with alien carvings tall, twisting figures with elongated skulls, all with their hands over their eyes. The whispers followed them, echoing down the hallway, now tinged with laughter. A shadow flickered along the wall ahead. Adam raised his pistol, ready to shoot, when the girl stopped him. "It's not real," she said quickly. "They'll try to make you see things." Too late. The figure ahead stepped into the light. It was a man, human, in full combat gear. His uniform was scorched, but Adam knew that face, his own. The double raised a weapon identical to his and said in a perfect copy of his voice, "Leave the girl. She'll get you killed." Adam didn't respond. He fired. The bullet passed through the image, shattering it into a cloud of pale smoke that dissipated instantly. "Keep moving," the girl urged. They broke into another chamber, this one lined with towering glass tubes filled with murky fluid. Inside, faint silhouettes drifted, some alien, some human, some things he couldn't name. Their bodies twitched as if dreaming. From behind, the sound came again, that tearing metal roar. The hunter had survived. The girl sprinted ahead, pointing toward a circular hatch at the far wall. Their escape shaft. Adam shoved her through first, then followed, the roar echoing closer. As the hatch slammed shut above them, a massive claw scraped across it, screeching like steel on steel. They were falling. The fall was long enough for Adam's stomach to twist, his brain convinced he'd never hit bottom. The shaft walls blurred past, slick, black, and pulsing faintly with veins of blue light. It was like sliding through the inside of some massive creature. Then, with a bone-jarring impact, they landed in waist-deep water. The shock knocked the pistol from his hand, sending it spinning away into the darkness. The air here was different, heavier, damp, and stinking of rot. The girl surfaced beside him, coughing, her hair plastered to her face. Dim blue bioluminescent fungi clung to the dripping cavern walls, casting just enough light to see that they were in an underground river. Above, far up the shaft, a distant thud echoed. The hunter testing the hatch. Adam didn't think it would hold for long. "This way," the girl whispered, pulling at his sleeve. The current was slow, but relentless, tugging them along a twisting path through jagged rock formations. The cavern widened until the ceiling was lost in darkness. The sound of rushing water grew louder ahead. They emerged onto a narrow ledge overlooking a massive subterranean chamber. Below, the river spilled into a pool surrounded by enormous stone columns, except these weren't stone. They were organic, ribbed like the inside of the alien chamber above, each column studded with translucent pods. Adam's breath caught. Inside each pod, something moved. Some were alien, others were human. The girl's hand tightened around his. "They've been doing this for years," she said quietly. "Your kind and mine. Taken, changed." His pulse quickened. Why? Before she could answer, the sound of dripping echoed close. He turned and froze. A sheep peeled itself from the cavern wall, its skin the same slick black as the rock, its limbs jointed wrong, its head unfolded like petals, revealing a cluster of glowing eyes and a mouth lined with needle-like teeth. Adam grabbed the girl, pulling her back toward the ledge's narrow exit. The creature hissed, the sound rattling in his bones, then dropped to all fours and scuttled after them far too fast. He didn't have his gun. No time to find it. No time to think. The ledge ahead narrowed to almost nothing, forcing them to press sideways against the cold wall as the alien skittered closer, claws scraping sparks from the stone. Then, from the darkness below, a deep rumble shook the chamber. The alien stopped, its head cocking as if listening. The girl whispered, "It's not here for us. Something worse is coming." The rumble grew until it became a physical thing vibrating through the walls, the ledge, Adam's chest. Pebbles and water droplets trembled, falling in rhythmic pulses, as if the cavern itself had a heartbeat. The black-skinned alien stopped, advancing, its petals folded inward, eyes dimming, body lowering in a display of fear. Adam had never thought he'd see a predator afraid. That scared him more than the creature itself. The girl pressed close to him, voice barely audible. "It's waking up." From the abyss below, something stirred. The pool at the base of the columns began to churn off from the waterfall's current, but from something rising beneath. The bioluminescent fungi flickered like failing lights, and a low-frequency hum filled the chamber, pressing against Adam's skull. Then, it broke the surface. At first, it seemed like the shadow of a mountain lifting from the water. Plates of chitin shifted like tectonic armor, each larger than a man. Long, root-like tendrils trailed beneath it, swaying in the current. And then came the eyes, hundreds of them opening across its front like lanterns, each eye swirling with an unnatural golden light. The thing emitted a sound that wasn't a roar, but a resonance, vibrating the water into geometric ripples. Adam felt it inside his bones, like a command to kneel. The alien on the ledge obeyed instantly. Folding its limbs and lowering its head, the girl squeezed Adam's hand. Don't listen. It talks without words. He clenched his jaw, fighting the strange pull to just step forward and fall into that glowing gaze. His vision blurred, replaced by flashes, endless caverns filled with pods, cities above swallowed in silence, skies blotted out by something vast. The girl yanked him backward toward a narrow crevice in the wall. This way, before it sees us. Adam didn't argue. They slipped into the passage just as one of the thing's tendrils uncoiled from the water and snaked upward toward the ledge they had just vacated. The black-skinned alien didn't move when the tendril touched it. It didn't scream either. It simply dissolved into a drifting cloud of black ash. As they hurried deeper into the twisting tunnel, the hum faded, but the images burned into Adam's mind refused to leave. And for the first time, he realized this wasn't about rescuing just one girl. It was about stopping that. The tunnel twisted and sloped downward, forcing Adam to wade through water that rose from his knees to his chest. The girl moved ahead like she'd memorized every curve of this place, her small frame slipping easily through the narrowing walls. Behind them, the hum of the colossal thing still reverberated, though distant now like a storm rolling away, but never gone. Adam kept glancing over his shoulder, unable to shake the feeling they were still being followed. The tunnel opened into a smaller cavern where water poured from 3 narrow fissures in the wall, feeding a shallow pool. Here, the air was thicker, smelling of ozone and something acrid like burned hair. The girl froze. It sent them. Something slid into the water ahead with barely a ripple, then another splash, closer. From the shadowy edges of the pool, tendrils emerged, thin at first, then thickening as they rose. Each one writhed as if tasting the air, tipped with needle-like barbs that dripped a black fluid. Adam's instincts kicked in. He scanned the cavern for anything he could use. His gun was gone, but half buried in the mud was a length of rusted rebar, bent and jagged at the end. He yanked it free. The first tendril darted toward them. Adam shoved the girl behind him and swung hard. The jagged metal tore through the tendril's surface, spraying black ichor that hissed where it hit the water. The tendril recoiled, thrashing violently. To more lunged from opposite sides. Adam ducked one and ran the rebar upward into the other, feeling the sickening resistance as it pierced deep. The thing let out a shrill, metallic screech that echoed in his skull. The girl was shouting something, but he couldn't hear. His head was ringing from the psychic pressure of the creature's pain. Then the water erupted beneath him. A thicker tendril, easily as wide as his chest, shot upward, coiling around his torso. The barbs dug through his jacket, stabbing shallow wounds into his ribs. The pressure was immense. He could feel his breath being forced out. Through the blur of pain, he saw the girl leap onto the tendril, a small blade in her hand glowing faintly blue. She slashed twice, and the tendril spasmed, dropping Adam into the water. "Move," she yelled, her voice echoing like a gunshot in the confined space. They scrambled toward a low passage at the far end of the cavern. Behind them, the tendrils writhed, black ichor cloud in the water, and the hum grew louder again, angrier. Adam didn't need to be told twice. Whatever he had just fought was only the smallest fragment of the thing waiting in the deep. The low passage forced them to crawl, the stones scraping Adam's elbows and knees. The girl moved like a shadow ahead of him, her small glowing blade casting pale blue light along the jagged walls. The hum of the monster faded behind them, replaced by the softer sound of trickling water. After what felt like hours of twisting through the darkness, the tunnel widened. Adam straightened and froze. The cavern before him was unlike anything he'd seen underground. Dozens of massive, translucent pods hung from the ceiling like glowing cocoons, each softly pulsing with light. Beneath them, walkways of stone and scavenged metal wound between pools where bioluminescent fish darted. Makeshift huts clung to the rock walls, connected by rope bridges and dangling ladders. And the people, they emerged cautiously from the shadows, tall, Willowy figures with skin in shades from pale lavender to deep slate, their eyes reflecting the pod light like cats. They wore garments woven from plant fibers and what looked like strips of scavenged human fabrics. The girls spoke in a rapid, fluid language Adam didn't recognize. The onlookers relaxed slightly, but their eyes stayed wary on him. One older male, his hair a silver mane, stepped forward. His gaze lingered on the blood seeping from Adam's side where the tendril's barbs had pierced him. He spoke to the girl, who replied with urgency, gesturing back toward the tunnels they'd escaped. The elder's expression darkened. He addressed Adam in heavily accented English. "You fought the Deep One's reach." Adam nodded, wincing. "Didn't have much of a choice. You live only because it does not yet care to hunt you directly." The elder said, "That will change." Others moved closer, some offering strips of cloth, others bringing bowls of a thick, pungent salve that burned as they applied it to his wounds. Adam noticed now that this place wasn't just a home, it was a fortress. Every bridge could be cut, every walkway collapsed into the pools below. Spears tipped with jagged crystal lined the walls, and in the center, beneath the largest glowing pod, sat an altar carved from what looked like the vertebra of something. Enormous, thought the girl, tugged his sleeve. "This is where my sister would have been brought if she escaped the harvest. If she's not here," her voice faltered. Adam scanned the faces around him. None matched the one from the little hologram she shown him in the city streets. His gut twisted. The elder followed his gaze. "Many are taken, few are returned. Those who do are not the same." Adam felt the room grow colder. He didn't know if the monster in the deep had his answers, but one thing was certain: if her sister was alive, she was somewhere near it, and that meant going back. The refuge slept under the soft, pulsing glow of the hanging pods. Adam sat on the edge of a stone walkway, his legs dangling over the pool below. The bioluminescent fish drifted lazily, their scales flickering in slow rhythms, almost hypnotic. The girl had curled up in a hammock strung between the stalagmites, finally resting for the first time since they met. The salve on Adam's wounds had numbed most of the pain, but his mind wouldn't let him sleep. The elder's words still echoed. "Few are returned. Those who do are not the same." Somewhere deeper in the cavern, a lullaby in the alien tongue floated through the air, haunting and beautiful. Adam almost let himself believe this place was safe. Almost. The sound hit like a physical force. A shrill, bone-deep wail reverberated through the stone, shaking dust from the cavern ceiling. The pods overhead flickered wildly. Every alien in sight froze, heads snapping toward the tunnels that led to the outer world. Adam felt it in his teeth, the same psychic hum from before, but sharper now, like claws dragging across his skull. The elder burst from his hut, shouting orders. Rope bridges were cut. Walkways were cleared of children and elderly. Spears and jagged crystal weapons were thrust into the hands of anyone who could fight. The girl was already at Adam's side, eyes wide but steady. "It's the swarm." The first shapes burst from the darkness. They were nothing like the tendrils. These things were fast, lean, insectoid creatures with cotton glistening like wet obsidian, limbs jointed wrong, mouths a shifting mess of teeth and tendrils. They swarmed along the walls and ceilings, claws finding purchase in the slick stone. Moving in jerks too quick for the eye to follow. Adam grabbed a crystal spear from a passing warrior. The weapon was lighter than he expected, perfectly balanced. The swarm hit the first bridge in a wave, their screeches mingling with the roar of crashing water as it collapsed under their weight. Warriors met them on the walkways, spears plunging deep into chitin, black ichor spraying in arcs. One broke through and lunged for the girl. Adam didn't think he threw the spear like a javelin. It punched through the thing's thorax, pinning it to the rock wall. It writhed for a second, then went still. More poured in. Adam ripped the spear free and moved to stand shoulder to shoulder with the alien defenders. From the central tunnel, a massive silhouette emerged easily twice Adam's height, its head crowned with spines that pulsed faint red. Even in the low light, Adam saw the intelligence in its eyes. The hum spiked until he thought his skull would split. The girl grabbed his arm, shouting over the din. "That's not a hunter, that's a caller. It's summoning more." Adam gritted his teeth. He didn't care what it was called. It was going down. The last of the swarm twitched on the stone floor, black ichor spreading in slow, viscous pools. The alien defenders moved among the dead, delivering precise finishing blows. The caller had fled, its piercing hum fading into the depths of the tunnels. Adam leaned on his spear, chest heaving. His arms ached from the fight. His ears still rang with the psychic noise, but adrenaline was already urging him forward. The elder approached, his silver mane damp with sweat and ichor. The collar will return with more. You cannot let it reach the brood nest. Adam glanced toward the girl, who stood clutching a recovered crystal dagger. Her eyes locked on him as if daring him to refuse. Then we go after it, Adam said. A small strike team was assembled 6 alien warriors, Adam, and the girl despite the elders' protests. Each carried a crystal weapon humming faintly in the pod light. Their surfaces etched with runes that caught the glow. The tunnels beyond the refuge were narrower, sharper, like the insides of some giant creature's arteries. Moisture dripped steadily from the ceiling, the air warm and close dot as they descended. The hum returned not loud, but constant, like a mosquito's whine deep in the brain. Adam's grip on his spear tightened. Feels like it's trying to get in my head. The lead warrior glanced back. That is the caller's gift. It weakens will, clouds judgment. Do not listen. They moved in silence. Boots and bare feet alike muffled by the damp stone. Here and there, the walls bulged with strange organic growths like coral made of flesh that pulsed faintly as they passed. Adam avoided touching them. The hum grew stronger. Somewhere ahead, claws scraped stone. The team slowed, weapons raised. They emerged into a wider chamber. The floor slick with a thin layer of black ichor. The collar stood in the center, its spine, crown glowing brighter now, casting a red wash over the walls. Round it, half-formed swarm creatures twitched, still emerging from fleshy sacs attached to the floor. Adam felt his vision swim. He heard whispers, not words, but urges stop, turn back, kneel. The girl's hand brushed his. It was enough. He shoved the whispers aside. The caller saw them. Its hum spiked into a scream. The sacs around it rupturing as fresh swarm creatures spilled out, landing in crouches and clicking their jagged jaws. Adam didn't wait. He charged. The chamber erupted into chaos. The newborn swarm lunged with unnatural speed. Their limbs still slick from the sacs, cotton clicking in rapid bursts. They weren't fully formed, but their hunger was complete. Adam met the first with a downward thrust, the crystal spear punching through its skull with a shattering crack. Black ichor sprayed hot against his forearm. He ripped the weapon free and turned just as another leapt at his throat, only for one of the alien warriors to sweep in, his jagged blade slicing the creature in half midair. The collar's hum turned into a deep, resonant thrum that made Adam's bones ache. Every pulse seemed to push the swarm into a frenzy. Warriors fell back in a defensive circle, protecting the girl, but Adam broke formation. He sprinted toward the collar. The alien leader's spine crown flared like a miniature sun, and a wall of psychic force slammed into him, sending him sprawling across the ichor-slick floor. His vision flashed white, and for a moment, he was somewhere else, fields under a red sky, shadows moving in the tall grass, a familiar voice telling him to stop fighting. Get up. The girl's voice cut through the hallucination. Adam rolled to his feet just as the caller advanced, claws extended. He feinted left, then drove the spear forward with both hands. The tip hit the chitin over its chest and slid off. The creature's claw came in low. He barely caught it on the shaft, splintering part of the weapon. Around them, the warriors fought like they'd been born in battle. Crystal blades flashed. Ichor hissed as it hit the hot floor. The girl darted between legs, her dagger finding gaps in chitin with unnerving precision. Adam took a step back, trying to find a weak point. That's when he saw it, where the crown's spines met the skull. Faint fissures glowed brighter. He needed height. One warrior was knocked sprawling beside him, their spear tumbling free. Adam scooped it up, reversed his grip, and charged. He slid under a swinging claw, came up on the collar's side, planted one foot on its knee joint, and climbed. The creature thrashed, trying to shake him loose. But Adam locked his legs around its shoulders. With a roar, he drove the crystal spear point first into the fissure. The glow flared once, twice, and then shattered in a rain of red sparks. The hum stopped. Every newborn in the chamber collapsed like a puppet with its strings cut. The collar staggered, ichor bubbling from the wound, then fell to its knees. Adam yanked the spear free, the weight of it suddenly heavier than before. Silence. Only the slow drip of ichor and the labored breathing of survivors filled the chamber. The girl stepped forward, staring at the collar's corpse, then looked up at Adam with a small, fierce smile. You did it. Adam shook his head. We did it. The silence in the chamber felt wrong. Not the peaceful kind that follows victory. This was the silence of something watching. Adam wiped ichor from his eyes and scanned the room. The collar's body twitched once, then lay still for good. Round them, the fleshy coral growths along the walls pulsed slower, as if the nest itself was weakening. The girl knelt beside one of the collapsed newborns, placing a hand on its chitin. Her lips moved in a quiet chant, one Adam couldn't understand. A funeral rite, maybe. One of the warriors approached him, crystal blade resting on their shoulder. This hive was only one branch. The brood nest lies deeper still, beneath the city's foundations. Adam's stomach tightened. You're telling me this was the warm-up? The warrior didn't smile. You killed a caller. Few ever do. But the queen, she is the song behind all songs. They moved deeper, following. A tunnel behind the caller's days. It sloped downward, the air growing warmer, thicker, until every breath felt like drawing in steam. The floor shifted under their weight, softer, like they were walking on muscle. The glow here came from below, red and amber light seeping through cracks in the floor. The hum was gone, replaced by a faint heartbeat that grew louder with every step. Finally, they reached it, a vast cavern the size of a cathedral. Its ceiling hung with fleshy tendrils. In the center pulsed a massive, translucent sac the size of a small building, veins glowing faintly as thick black ichor pumped through them. Adam's throat went dry. That's not her, is it? No, the warrior said quietly. That is the heart. It feeds her. The girl stepped forward, eyes narrowing. If we destroy it, she will weaken. Adam studied the thing. It was shielded by a dome of chitin plates, each the size of a truck. They flexed open and closed slowly, like breathing. Inside, shadowy shapes moved, parasitic worms the length of cars, swimming through thick liquid. One of them stopped, turned. The sack shuddered. The heartbeat quickened. From the shadows behind the heart, something massive began to move. Chitin scraped stone, the sound echoing like thunder in the chamber. Adam's hands clenched tighter on his spear. Guess we just woke her up. The sound hit first a low, thrumming roar that wasn't quite a voice, wasn't quite a growl. It vibrated in Adam's ribs, made his teeth ache. The chitin dome over the heart shivered, as though the queen's presence itself disturbed the structure. The fleshy tendrils hanging from the cavern ceiling twisted and retracted, revealing more of the black stone walls beneath. Adam stepped forward, boots squelching in the warm, slick floor. His eyes adjusted to the shifting shadows, and there she was. The queen's head emerged, first a monstrous crown of jagged spines, each one tipped with a faint, venom-green glow. Her eyes, dozens of them, opened one by one, gleaming like pools of molten gold. Her mandibles spread wide, and a wash of hot, foul-smelling air burst across the chamber. She was huge, 30 feet from claw to claw, her body a fusion of insectoid armor and living muscle, the color shifting as she moved, black under one light, iridescent purple under another. Her limbs ended in hooked talons, each one capable of slicing a man in half with a single swipe. The girl's voice trembled for the first time. She's awake. The queen's gaze swept the intruders, then stopped, locked on Adam. It was the kind of look predators give before deciding exactly how they'll kill you. With a sudden, jerking motion, she lunged. Adam barely rolled aside as her claws landed into the spot he'd been standing, cracking the floor like brittle glass. Shards of chitin and stone sprayed through the air. One warrior was caught in the blast, their armor splitting as they were flung against the far wall. The other warriors closed in, moving with precision. Spears struck her legs, crystal edges scraping sparks off her armor. The queen shrieked, the sound high-pitched enough to make Adam's vision swim, the heart behind her pulsed faster, the glow brightening until the chamber felt like it was lit from within. Adam realized something. Her movement wasn't random. She was guarding the heart. Cut her away from it. He shouted over the din. The girl darted forward, impossibly fast for her size, weaving between the queen's legs. She slashed at the tendons behind one joint. The queen screamed, rearing back just enough for a warrior to drive a spear deep into the wounded spot. Adam sprinted for the heart, knowing full well that if she caught him, he wouldn't get a second chance. Her shadow swept over him. He dove under one closing claw, came up running, and jammed the crystal spear into the chitin shell of the heart's dome. The tip bit deep, cracked spider webbing outward. The queen roared and whirled toward him, and the chamber ceiling exploded. Stone and tendril rained down as blinding white light speared through the darkness. Shapes descended in the beam, dark, angular, not alien, human. The white light from above seared through the cavern's gloom like a blade. Adam squinted, shielding his eyes as dark figures descended on steel cables, their armor gleaming with a matte-black finish that swallowed the alien glow. The first one touched down with the soundless precision of a predator. His helmet's visor lit up in a sharp blue V shape as he scanned the queen. Without a word, His weapon snapped into place, a squat, brutal-looking rifle with a wide barrel. The queen roared at the intrusion, hurling herself toward them with terrifying speed. The human's rifle boomed not the high crack of bullets, but a deep, concussive thud that shook the air. A sphere of molten white plasma slammed into the queen's thorax, spraying shards of steaming chitin. She shrieked, staggering back. More troops landed in quick succession, forming a half-circle around Adam and the warriors. Their movements were perfectly synchronized, one squad laying down suppressive fire while another advanced. The air filled with the sharp ozone tang of energy weapons. The alien warriors didn't hesitate. They adjusted to the new arrivals like they'd fought alongside them for years. One vaulted over a crouching soldier to stab at the queen's flank. Another tore through a supporting tendril from the heart, like raining down in steaming arcs. The queen lashed out with a hooked claw, catching a soldier mid-leap. His armor sparked as she flung him across the chamber. He hit the wall hard, but a faint beep from his suit's medical module told Adam he was still alive. Adam Raines. A voice crackled in his ear. He spun, recognizing the tone Major Harlan. Special response. How the hell? Keep your head down and get that thing shielded down, Harlan barked. We've got an orbital strike on standby, but we need line of sight to the heart. The queen's tail slammed into the ground between them, a jagged spike gouging stone. Copy, Adam yelled, diving away. He caught the girl's gaze across the chaos. She nodded, already sprinting toward the heart's chitin dome. Adam followed, weaving through a blur of claws, blades, and plasma. Fire. The queen saw them moving, her focus snapping to their path. She ignored the troops hammering her with fire and lunged. The alien warriors threw themselves into her way, jamming spears into her legs. She tore one apart instantly, but the other clung to her like a burr, stabbing again and again until she shook him loose. By then, Adam and the girl were on the dome. She climbed like she was born for it, claws digging in, slicing at the chitin plates. Adam jammed his spear into an existing crack and heaved with everything he had. The plate tore free with a sound like breaking bone. The heart's glow burst into the open from above. Harlan's voice was sharp. We've got a shot. The queen turned. She knew. Her roar drowned out every other sound, and then the ceiling split wide as a beam of pure white fire poured down from orbit. The orbital beam punched through the cavern like a spear from the gods, vaporizing chunks of the ceiling and raining molten stone onto the battlefield. The glow from the heart turned blinding, its pulsing synchronized with the quick rumbling. Underfoot. The queen didn't retreat. She screamed at bone-rattling, chest collapsing sound and threw herself into a frenzy, her claws blurred, carving through warriors and sending human soldiers scattering. Her molten gold eyes locked on Adam and the girl, the last threat between her and her life source. Adam, move. Harlan's voice cracked in his earpiece. He dove aside just as the queen's claw came down like a guillotine, missing him by inches. The shockwave from the impact hurled him across the slick floor. His vision spun, ears ringing, but through the haze, he saw the girl still on the heart's dome, carving at the last layer of living armor. The queen reared up, raising both claws to crush her. Adam's muscles screamed, but he ran. He slammed the crystal spear into the queen's underbelly, right between the plates. The weapon sank deep. The queen shrieked, twisting in agony, giving the girl just enough time. With a final slash, the last of the chitin plates tore away, the heart exposed in all its throbbing, alien glory, slick, translucent, shot through with glowing green veins. Clear shot, Harlan barked. The beam widened. For an instant, the queen seemed to understand. Her roar was not rage this time, it was fear. She lunged, ignoring Adam entirely, trying to shield the heart with her massive body. The white fire hit her square in the back. There was no explosion, just annihilation. The beam carved through her armor, flesh, and bone like they were mist. Her scream was cut short as the fire bored through the heart. Life filled everything. Adam was thrown backward, weightless, the shockwave lifting him like a rag doll. He hit the ground hard, ears dead to the world. For a moment, the entire cavern seemed to dissolve in a storm of white and gold. When his vision cleared, there was nothing left of the queen, only a smoking crater where the heart had been, and the faint, acrid tang of burned ozone. The girl stood, trembling but alive, her wide eyes fixed on Adam. For the first time since he'd met her, she smiled. It's over, she whispered. The air was thick with heat and the smell of scorched alien flesh. The last wisps of vapor from the Queen's annihilation curled lazily upward into the ragged shaft that led to the surface, the beam's tunnel still glowing faintly red at the edges. Adam lay on his back for a long moment, chest heaving, ears still ringing with a muffled, ocean-like roar. His vision swam, thus drifting down through the beam of pale light from above. Slowly, he sat up. The battlefield was unrecognizable. What had once been the Queen's throne chamber was now a blackened crater surrounded by collapsed stone and melted chitin. Pools of strange green ichor hissed where they touched molten rock, sending up curls of toxic vapor. The girl approached him, her small feet silent even on the jagged floor. She looked exhausted, her crystalline eyes dulled, but she still managed that faint, relieved smile. "Your world is safe," she said quietly. "For now." Adam glanced toward the human drop team. Some were kneeling over their fallen, others sweeping their rifles over the darkened tunnels that still yawned beyond the crater. They weren't celebrating, not yet. "Is it over?" he asked. The girl hesitated. Her gaze flicked toward the tunnels. For her, yes. But the Queen was not the only one who heard the signal. That sent a chill crawling down Adam's spine. A shadow passed overhead. Adam looked up to see the beam receding, its source a black, angular orbital craft tilting away toward the stratosphere. Harlan approached, helmet tucked under one arm, face streaked with grime. "You've got a hell of a knack for trouble, Ryder," he said. "Command says the energy spike from that thing lit up every satellite we've got." He glanced at the girl, and her. Adam glanced at her, then back to Harlan. "She stays with me." For a long moment, the soldier said nothing, then nodded once. A low rumble echoed from deep within one of the tunnels, not loud, but steady. The girl's voice was barely above a whisper. "They're coming." Adam looked toward the sound, jaw tightening. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. Hours later, the survivors emerged from the cavern into the pre-dawn chill. The forest around the sinkhole was silent, its trees bowed under a thin layer of frost, as if the blast below had sucked the heat out of the world. Above, the sky was streaked with the first faint blush of morning. Adam carried the girl on his back. She was lighter than he'd expected, light, and her breathing was shallow. Harlan and his team moved ahead, sweeping the tree line for threats. As they reached the ridgeline, Adam stopped. He wasn't sure why at first, just a gut pull. The girl shifted slightly, her head lifting. "They're here," she murmured. Adam followed her gaze to the horizon. At first, he thought it was dawn haze, a trick of the light. Then the shapes resolved, three vast silhouettes hanging against the pale sky. Not aircraft, not anything human. They were statuesque, almost elegant, black, needle-thin constructs hundreds of meters long, their hulls lined with silver glyphs that shimmered like liquid metal. They hovered without sound, each one flanked by drifting spheres of light. The human soldiers froze. Harlan's hand went to his radio, but it hissed with dead static. "They're not here to fight," the girl whispered. "Not yet." One of the massive ships tilted slightly, and Adam felt, not heard, a deep vibration in his skull. Images flashed unbidden behind his eyes, ancient cities, alien suns, worlds wrapped in crystal oceans. Wars fought in the void between stars. "They're the Watchers," she said. "They have been here since before your kind learned to walk upright." Her eyes glimmered. "The Queen was only a scavenger. They are the architects." The largest vessel sphere of light began to grow, casting long shadows across the ridge. Adam's instinct screamed at him to run, but his feet wouldn't move. In that moment, he knew two things. One, whatever the Watchers wanted, Earth was already on their map. And two, this was only the beginning. The light swelled until it consumed the horizon. Then just as suddenly it was gone. The sky was empty, the dawn unbroken. The girl exhaled, as if a great weight had lifted, but her words chilled him to the bone. "They'll be back."